Hi friends, welcome back to my YouTube channel Daysi DIY. Today I'm going to share with you guys my favorite spring DIYs. I hope you guys enjoy. If you do, please don't forget to give me a big thumbs up. Thank you so much. For the first project, we're going to be using this wood tag that I got from Dollar Tree. So here's the item number if you guys need it. So the first thing, I'm going to remove the image from the top and also the hanger. And this is how it looks once you remove the image. Also, I want to say, if you guys don't want to remove the image, you guys can use the back of the wood sign and you guys going to be fine with it. But I decided to remove the image so it can has a finished look. And to paint it, I'm using the Rustic chalkboard paint on color white. First, I'm going to do a light coat because I want the wood to show a little bit through. You guys know that I love this technique to distress my signs, so that's the reason why I always do this step, to use a little bit of paint. And once I'm done with the first coat, I go over and paint a little bit the spots that it needs more white, and that's the distress look that I always look for. So once I was done, I decided to create lines. I didn't measure anything. I just kind of eyeball it. I just want to use my pencil to trace it a few times, and once I was done, I'm going to be using my fingers to distress the lines. The next thing we're going to be using two painter sticks that I got from Amazon. I'm just going to place them this way. So once I place it, I'm going to be using my pencil to mark it at the side that we need it. So I decided to flip my sign and put the painter sticks on the bottom. It was more easy to trace it so we can cut it. And to cut it, I'm just going to use my saw to cut it. And to paint it, I'm using the Waverly chalk paint on color anti-wax, and I'm going to do one coat and I'm just going to let it dry. And to paint it, I'm using just a small piece of bath sponge that I got from Dollar Tree. Also, I'm going to be using this small tag that I got from Dollar General. It's really beautiful and only it cost me $1. So I'm going to place it right here in the middle of the sign. And I'm just going to be putting the hanger inside. And I'm just going to give this effect so the small tag is hanging from the wood sign. And I'm just going to place the two painter sticks this way. And to glue it, I'm going to do a combination of wood glue and hot glue for a strong hold. I'm going to do the same step on the bottom. I'm going to be using a little bit of wood glue with hot glue to glue it. Also, I decided to glue that small tag so it can hold pretty well on the sign, and I'm just using a little bit of hot glue. If you guys want for a strong hold, you guys can use wood glue. I'm going to use a little bit of hot glue to glue the piece of jute twine on the back so it can hold pretty well the hanger on the back so we can hang our sign. And to distress the sign, I'm going to be using a little bit of that Waverly chalk paint on color anti-wax, and I'm just going to do the edges of the sign. And to distress it, I'm just using a small piece of bath sponge, and I'm just going to distress it at the way that I want it. The next thing, I'm going to be using these boxwood picks that I got from Walmart. So what I did, I just grabbed a few pieces and I just tie it very well with the zip tie. And I just cut the remaining piece with my scissors. And you guys can put it right here on the top or in the bottom. I decided to put it right here in the bottom. And I'm just going to be using a little bit of hot glue to glue it. The other thing that I decided to do, to use a few pieces of the lace ribbon, burlap ribbon, and a piece of jute twine, and I just create this beautiful bow. So once I was done, you guys can put it right here on the top of the small tag, and it looks really beautiful. But I decided to put it right here in the middle, and I'm just going to be using a little bit of hot glue to glue it. And this is how it looks our project once we're done. Let me know in the comments down below, what do you guys think about this project? I think it turned out really beautiful. I love it how it turns out, but please let me know what do you guys think. For our next DIY, I'm going to be using this shadow box that I got at Dollar Tree, and here's the item number. What I'm going to do, I'm going to remove the image from the top and also the hanger because we're going to create two side projects, and to paint it, I'm using the Rustic chalk paint on color white. I did one coat and I just let it dry. The next thing, we're going to be using this Waverly anti-wax, and I'm going to be painting the side of the shadow box because I just want the sides to be a little bit dark, and I'm just using a piece of this bad sponge that I got from Dollar Tree, and with the same sponge I decided to distress it a little bit on the edges, and it turned out really beautiful once I did this step. I'm going to be using this template that I had, so I'm going to trace these beautiful ears of the bunny. If you guys are really good at drawing, you guys can skip this step, but I'm not really good at drawing, so I just traced the ears of the bunny. I'm going to be using these stickers, and I'm just going to spell the word hop, so I just placed the letters on the top, and with a Sharpie, I just traced the ears of the bunny, and I traced the ears twice. And to seal the letters, I just use a little bit of this Mod Podge and I just let it dry. I grabbed two pieces of this greenery that I had on hand, and I just connect the two pieces together to form a small reef, and I'm just showing you how they look, the two pieces. So I just connect them, and to hold them a little bit better, I just used a little bit of hot glue and I just placed the small reef in the middle, and it turned out really adorable, this reef. I love it. And also I decided to grab just a few pieces of the same greenery so it can be a little bit wider reef, and also it was missing a few pieces of the greenery, so that's the reason why I just grabbed a few pieces more. If you guys want, you guys can be done with your project. I think it turned out really adorable, but I decided to do one more step. I just grabbed a piece of this craft stick and it measured 7.5 centimeters, and to paint it I used the anti-wax, and I just gonna place it on the bottom. If you guys want a strong hold, I would recommend you guys to use wood glue, but I just use hot glue to glue it. And I just grabbed two thumbtacks and I just placed it on the top, and it turned out really adorable, this project. I love it. But please let me know in the comments down below, what do you guys think about this project? For our next DIY, we're going to be using one truck that I got from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to remove the piece of the letters and also the image. The other thing that I decided to do, to cut the part on the top of the wood truck, because it was at this place from Easter and it had these beautiful eggs on the top and I didn't like it. To paint it, I'm using the Rustic chalk paint, and I did one coat and I just let it dry. And also I decided to paint the edges so it has a finished look. And once we're done, we're going to create lines. I didn't measure anything, so I just marked my lines twice, and once I was done with my finger, I just traced the lines a little bit. I'm going to use one free printable that I found on Pinterest. I'm going to be using my scissors just to cut the flower in a few letters. And once I was done placing the pieces that I want on the truck, I'm going to be using this Mod Podge to put our image. And I did one coat and I just placed my image. The other thing that I decided to do another coat on Mod Podge so we can seal everything. The next thing, we're going to create the tires of the truck. So I'm just going from this jar that I have on hand. You guys can use any circle thing. If you guys are really good at drawing, you guys don't need any template to create it. So to paint the tires, I'm using the Craftwise chalkboard paint, and I'm also using this small brush, and I just did one coat and I just let it dry. Also, I decided to paint the edges of the truck. The other thing that I decided to do, I just used my hot glue to cover the holes that it had in the tires because I didn't like it. I just used a little bit of hot glue, and once I was done, I just used the same paint to cover the hole. And to distress a piece, I'm just using the Rustic chalk paint, and I just used a little bit of paint to distress it, and I'm using the same brush. If you guys want, you guys can be done with your project here. You guys can just use a small piece of jute twine and just put them on the back with hot glue. Or if you guys want this beautiful piece to stand up, you guys can use a few pieces of the jingle blocks and you can place it this way and use a little bit of hot glue so it can stand up your piece. You can do many things with this beautiful truck, but I decided to do this step. I used one piece of wood that I had on hand. It was already cut. So to paint it, I'm using the Rustic chalk paint. I did one coat and I just let it dry. And also I'm using this piece of the image that we just had, and I just used a little bit of Mod Podge to put the image. I did one coat, and once I was done, I did another coat on the top. The next thing, I used two pieces of jingle blocks, and I'm using the same paint to paint it. I did one coat and I just let it dry. And also I distressed the letters a little bit with the same paint. And once it was done, I just create these lines, but in the end I didn't like it. So I'm going to show you in a minute what I did. I just placed the two jingle blocks this way so we can place the truck on the top so it can stand up. And to glue it, I'm going to do a combination of wood glue and hot glue for a strong hold. I decided to use a little bit of more hot glue to reinforce it, and also I paint the back so it can has a finished look. So here is the part where I show you. I use this stencil and I just place it this way, and I just used the Craftwise chalkboard paint and I did one coat and I just let it dry. And once it was dry, to distress it a little bit, I just used the same brush with the same paint, Rustic chalk paint, and I just used a little bit of paint to distress it. And I just placed a few greeneries right here in the top to display this beautiful truck. For our next DIY, we're gonna be using this wood sign that I got from Dollar Tree, and here's the item number if you guys need it. So the first thing we're gonna do, we're gonna remove this metal bunny and also the image so it can have a finished look, the sign. And also I'm gonna remove the hanger of the sign. If you guys want, you guys can just use the back of the sign to do this project, but I decided to remove the image, and this is how it looks once you remove the image from the top. So the next thing, we're going to be using this Rust-Oleum chalkboard paint on color white that I got from Amazon. And to paint it, I'm using this brush from Dollar Tree. So you guys can see, I'm not painting the sign all the way because I want the wood to show a little bit. So I just did one coat and I just let it dry. Also, I decided to paint the edges of the sign. I'm going to use 2 painter sticks that I got from Amazon. So what I did, I just cut it at the side of the sign, and once I was done, I'm just going to be using this Waverly chalk paint on color anti-wax that I got from Walmart. So I'm just going to do one coat and I'm just going to let it dry. And to paint it, I'm just using a small piece of this bad sponge that I got from Dollar Tree. I'm going to do the same step with the other painter stick. The next thing, I'm going to be using this calendar that I got from Dollar Tree, and here's the item number if you guys need it. I decided to use this image, so I just place my image on the top of the sign and I just mark it so we can cut the extra paper on the side. And to cut it, I just use my scissors. So once I was done, I'm going to be using this Mod Podge that I got from Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to put one coat on the top of the sign. I'm just using this small brush from Dollar Tree. So once I was done, I just put my image on the top of the sign, and I just trying to smooth the image a little bit so it won't have any wrinkles. Also, I decided to do one coat of Mod Podge on the top. And once it was completely dry, I decided to distress it a little bit, and for that I'm just using the same piece of bad sponge. You guys can see it doesn't have a lot of paint, so I just distress it the way that I want it. And once I was done, I'm just going to place the 2 painter sticks on the top. So I just want to place it this way so it can give this effect the sign is a little bit bigger, and also because I want the 2 holes on the top of the sign to cover with the painter stick so it can has a finished look on the sign. And to glue it, I'm going to do a combination of wood glue and hard glue for a strong hold. I'm going to do the same step with the other painter stick. And to hang our sign, you guys can just use a small piece of jute twine and just put it on the back, and you guys can just glue it with hot glue. I decided to just leave it the way it is. And this is how it looks our project once we're done. It turned out really beautiful, but please let me know in the comments down below, what do you guys think about this project? For the next project, I'm going to be using this beautiful piece of wood that I had on hand. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to remove this staple that I had in one of the sides. I hope you guys can see it. And also, I'm going to be using a piece of sandpaper to sand it very well, especially the edges of the piece of wood. And to paint it, I'm using the Rust-Oleum chalkboard paint on color white, and I'm going to do one coat. And to paint it, I'm just using this brush that I got from Dollar Tree. Also, I decided to paint the back of the piece of wood so it can has a finished look. And to distress a piece of wood, I'm using the Deco Art Bright Metallic paint that I had on hand. So you guys can see, I'm just using a little bit of paint, and also I'm just distressing the edges of the piece of wood. So once I was done, I'm gonna be using this extra piece of paper that we just had from the other project that we just create. I just mark it very well so we can place it this way. And to put our image, I'm just using a little bit of Mod Podge. I'm just gonna do one coat and I'm just gonna place our image. And once I was done, I decided to do another coat of Mod Podge on the top so we can seal our image.
Like a bird on a tree, I'm just sitting here. I got time.
So once it's completely dry, I'm going to be using that Restore chalkboard paint on color white to distress it a little bit. So you guys can see I'm just using a little bit of paint to distress it. I'm going to use this rub-on transfer stickers that I found on Dollar Tree, and I'm going to be using that word family, and I'm just going to be placing it this way. So I'm just going to be scratching it with my finger, and once I was done, I just removed that extra piece of plastic. And also I decided to use a little bit of Mod Podge to seal our letters, and I just did one coat and I just let it dry.
I'm just sitting here. I got time.
The next thing, I'm going to be using this jute twine that I got from Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to be wrapping it a few times around. And once I was done, I just used my scissors to cut it, and with the remaining piece, I just tie it on the back, everything very well. I decided not to use hot glue just in case if I want to change the piece of jute twine, but if you guys want, you guys can use a little bit of hot glue to glue it. And this is how it looks our project once we're done. I'm going to be using these beautiful flowers to put it right here on the top. You guys can put anything and it will look really beautiful. What do you guys think about this project?
You and me, meant to be in the great outdoors, forever free.
And here's the second option that I have for you guys today. If you guys want to put something different in the top. For our next project, I'm going to be using the other side of the shadow box, and to paint it, I'm using the same paint, the Restore chalk paint, and I just painted all the way inside of the shadow box, and I just did one coat and I just let it dry. The other thing that I decided to do with that Waverly anti-wax, I just painted on the top so it can be a little bit dark and it blends all together. And with the same sponge, I decided to go inside and distress it a little bit. But if you guys don't love to distress pieces, don't worry, you guys can skip this step and it will look really beautiful, your project too. I'm gonna be using one wood bunny that I got from Dollar Tree, and to paint it, we're using this Waverly anti-wax, and I just did one cut on the top and also I paint on the back. I decided first to use this wax and I just went over with the same Restore chalk paint because I just want the color anti-wax to show a little bit, but if you guys want, you guys can just leave it with the other color, the bunny. The next thing, we're gonna be using another piece of this craft stick and a measure 5.5 centimeters, and I just use the same anti-wax to paint it. I'm gonna be using these stickers letters, and I just spelled the word hub and I just place it on the top, and I decide to seal the letters with a little bit of Mod Podge, and I just let it dry. I just grab a piece of this painter stick and I just place it on the back so we can give this 3D effect to the bunny, and I just create a simple bow to place it on the middle, and it turned out really adorable. And once we're done, I place that little sign on the top. If you guys want a strong hole, it's better to use wood glue. I just glue it inside of the shadow box and I just place it, and it turned out really adorable this other side too. I love it. Also, I decided to grab just a few pieces of this greenery that I have just on hand, and I just placed a few pieces, and that was the touch that I need this project. And this is how it looks our project once we're done. It turned out really beautiful, these two side projects, but please let me know in the comments down below, what do you guys think about this project? For our next DIY, we're gonna be using this wood round sign that I found on Dollar Tree, and here's the item number just in case if you guys need it. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna remove the image from the sign. I wanna show you for my friend Candy and Marcy that they had a question. They asked me how to remove the image. They say that sometimes it's pretty hard, and I just wanna show you a great example. This image from this sign, it was a little bit hard to remove, so I just used this small pocket knife that I had on hand. It does take me a little bit of time, I'm not gonna lie. In the end, I love it how it turns out because it gives really good finish on my signs. I just see a few friends that they use like just a piece of paper on the back. They just cover the image, or some other people they decide just to paint on the top of the image. You guys can have many options, but I just want to show you that part, especially for my friend Candy and Marcy, and I hope you guys enjoyed that part. And to paint it, I'm using the Rustic chalkboard paint on color white. I'm gonna do first one coat and I'm just gonna let it dry. So you guys can see I'm just using a little bit of paint. So once I was done, I'm just gonna start creating lines, and for that I'm just using my pencil and my ruler, and I'm just gonna trace the lines twice so they can be a little bit dark. And once I'm done marking the lines, I'm gonna be using my finger to distress all the lines. Also, I'm gonna be using this beautiful wall sticker that I found on Dollar Tree, so you guys can see my sticker. It's a little bit bigger, so I'm gonna be using my scissors to cut it. So once I was done, I'm gonna place my sticker this way. So the other thing that I decided to do, I use a little bit of Mod Podge so we can seal very well our sticker. So I just did one coat of Mod Podge and I just placed my sticker. So I decided to do another coat on Mod Podge on the top so we can seal everything. So once it's completely dry, I decided to distress it a little bit, and for that I'm using the Rustic chalkboard paint on color white, and I'm just using a little bit of paint to distress it. And this is how it looks our project once we're done. The other thing that I decided to do, I just used a small piece of Jute twine and I just tie it very well on the top. You guys can use the same piece of Jute twine that I had on the wood sign, but I decided to use this piece. And this is how it looks our project once we're done. Let me know in the comments down below, what do you guys think about this project? For the next project, I'm gonna be using these wood eggs, and I just got it at Dollar Tree, and it comes 2 pieces in a package. And to paint it, we're gonna be using the Rust-Oleum chalk paint on color white. First, I did one coat, and once it was completely dry, I did a second coat so we can cover very well the design it has on the top. I'm gonna be creating lines on the top, and for that, I just create 3 lines, and once we're done with my finger, I just distress the lines. I'm gonna be using 4 tumbling blocks, and to paint it, I'm using the Waverly Anti-Wax. And once we're done with the same piece of bad sponge, I decide to distress it a little bit, the piece, and it turned out really beautiful. If you don't want to distress your pieces, don't worry, you guys can skip this step. I'm gonna be reusing the same metal bunny that we just removed on the other project that we just create. And to glue it, I'm just using hot glue, but I think it's way better to use E6000 for permanent hold. We're gonna create a base to put these beautiful bunnies. So I just placed my 4 pieces, one on each side and one in the front and one on the back. And to glue the pieces, I'm doing a combination of hot glue and wood glue for a strong hold. And I'm just showing you how I glue the pieces together. On the other side, I just gluing the remain piece because we create 2 side projects. And to reinforce it a little bit way better, I just use more hot glue on the back. If you guys want, you guys can be done with your project, but I decided to do one more step. I just put a few flowers that I had on hand, and it turned out really adorable, this bunny. I love it. But please let me know in the comments down below, what do you guys think about these 2 side projects? For our next project, we're gonna be using this wood box that I had on hand. I have that video on my YouTube channel, what I did step by step. I will link it down in my description box below so you guys can see what I did. The only thing that I removed was the handle. So the other thing that I'm gonna be using these jewelry border stickers that I got from Dollar Tree, and I'm just gonna be placing it right here in the middle. So what I did, I just used a little bit of hot glue so it can hold pretty well. If you guys want to, you guys don't need to do this step. I know that adhesive that they have, it holds pretty well, but I decided to use just a little bit of hot glue. And I'm just gonna be putting the sticker all around. And once I was done with the remaining piece, I just used my scissors to cut it, and I just used a little bit of hot glue to hold it, the remaining piece. And to paint it, I'm going to be using the Rust-Oleum chalkboard paint on color white. And to paint it, I'm using this brush that I got from Dollar Tree. So you guys can see, I'm just using a little bit of paint first to paint it. And I just did one coat and I just let it dry. And also, I decided to paint the bottom part so it can has a finished look. I'm going to use the Wibbly Chalk Paint on Color Anti-Wax to distress it a little bit. And I'm just using a small piece of this bad sponge. And I'm just going to be distressing the borders first. And once I was done, I just distressed the edges of the wood box and also the bottom part. And once it was completely dry, I decided to use the Rust-Oleum chalkboard paint on color white to distress it a little bit more so I can blend everything together. So you guys can see I'm just using a little bit of paint to distress it. And to put inside, I'm going to be using this boxwood picks that I got from Walmart. You guys can put anything and it will look really beautiful. Or if you guys want, you guys can put a succulent and it will look really beautiful too. I have that other option for you guys so you guys can see. And please let me know what option do you like more. And this is how it looks our project once we're done. I think this planter, it turned out really beautiful. I just love everything. But please let me know in the comments down below. What do you guys think about this project? And here's the second option if you guys decide to put a succulent inside. What do you guys think about our second option? For the next project, I'm going to be using the other side of the sign, and to paint it, I'm using the Rust-Oleum chalkboard paint on color white. So you guys can see I'm not painting the sign all the way because I want the cardboard to show a little bit. So I just did one coat and I just let it dry. So once it was completely dry, the sign, I decided to create lines, and for that, I'm just using my ruler. So my sign, it measured 9.5 inches. So every 2 inches, I just start marking the lines, and once I was done, I just start connecting. And to distress the lines, I just use my finger to distress all the lines. The next thing we're gonna do, I'm gonna be using a small piece of cardboard that I had on hand, and also I just got this printable. I just searched on Google and I just cut this bunny, and once I was done, I'm gonna start tracing the bunny, and for that I'm just using my pen. And once I was done tracing the bunny, I'm just gonna be using my scissors to cut it. And to paint it, I'm going to be using the Rust-Oleum chalkboard paint on color white. So you guys can see I'm not painting the bunny all the way because I want the cardboard to show a little bit. And I just did one coat and I just let it dry. The next thing, I'm going to be using 2 painter sticks that I got from Amazon. So what I did, I just cut it at the side of the sign. I'm going to be using the Wibbly Chalk paint on color anti-wax. And I'm just going to do one coat and I'm just going to let it dry. So to paint it, I'm just using a small piece of this bad sponge that I got from Dollar Tree. I'm going to do the same step with the other painter stick. And to distress the sign, I'm just using the same bad sponge, and I'm just using a little bit of paint to distress it. And also I decided to distress the bunny. So once I was done, I just placed my bunny on the top and the 2 painter sticks. So to glue it, I'm going to do a combination of wood glue and hot glue for a strong hold. I'm going to do the same step with the other painter stick on the top. Also, I decided to put a few pieces of this painter stick on the back of the bunny because I want the bunny to have a 3D effect. So to glue it, I'm just going to use hot glue. The next thing, we're going to be using this wood glue that I got from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to do a combination with hot glue for a strong hold. Also, I'm going to be using this metal bunny word that I got from Dollar Tree. So you guys can place it right here or in the middle. It will look really beautiful. But I decided to put it right here on the bottom. So to glue it, I'm going to do a combination of E6000 and hot glue for a strong hold. So I decided to create this small bulb to put it right here, and for that I just used this jute twine that I got from Dollar Tree, and to glue it I'm gonna use hot glue. If you guys want, you guys can just leave it the way it is. I think it turned out really beautiful, but I decided to put a few pieces of this greenery, and to glue it I'm gonna use hot glue. And to hang our sign, you guys can just use a small piece of jute twine and just put it on the back, and you guys can just glue it with hot glue. And this is how it looks our project once we're done. Let me know in the comments down below, what do you guys think about this project? For our next DIY, we're going to be using one sign from the Dollar Tree, and here's the item number just in case if you guys need it. So the first thing, I was going to remove the image, but I want to show you something different just in case if you guys have really hard time to remove the image. I'm going to be using the Rustic chalk paint on colored white. I did one coat and I just let it dry. I always love to do this technique to distress my sign. I just use a little bit of paint. The next thing, I'm going to be using the Craftwise chalkboard paint, and I'm going to do one coat and I'm just going to let it dry. Also, I decided to paint the edges so it has a finished look. So I just want to show you how beautiful it turns out even if you cannot remove the image. So the next thing, we're going to create lines, and we're just going to guide from the lines that it has the sign. I just marked my lines twice so they can be a little bit dark, and I just tried to use my finger to distress the lines a little bit. So once I'm done, I'm going to be using the same brush to distress the sign a little bit. So my brush, it just has a little bit of paint. You always can distress the sign at the way that you guys want it. So the next thing, I'm going to be using these words that I found on Google, and with my pencil I'm going to be tracing on the back so we can use it as a template to create these beautiful letters in our sign. So I just used my pen to mark the letters. I don't know if you can see, but it just showed the letters a little bit. So once I'm done, I decide to use the chalkboard paint, but if you guys don't have the paint, you guys can use a Sharpie and it will work just fine. So I just used this small brush to paint my letters. It did take me a little bit of time, but in the end it turned out really beautiful. I'm going to be using one craft stick that I got from Dollar Tree. I'm using the large one, and I just cut 3 pieces and I measured 3.5 centimeters. So to paint it, I'm using the chalkboard paint, and I just did one coat. I don't know what happened with my image, but I just covered a little bit of the edges with a small piece of painter's tape because I want to create this small tags. So the next thing, I'm going to be using these stickers, and I'm just going to be using the numbers 1, 2, and 3. And to paint it, I'm using the Rustic chalk paint on colored white, and I did one coat and I just let it dry. The next thing, I'm going to be using 3 small seed pots that I got from Dollar Tree as well, and to paint it I'm using the Rustic chalk paint, and I did one coat and I just let it dry. I didn't paint it all the way because I want the color to show a little bit. So once I was done, my small tag, I didn't like it the color that it has on the edges, so to fix that I'm using the Wibbly anti-wax, and I just just did one coat and I just used a piece of paper towel to remove a little bit of the paint. I think it was the paint that it was missing these beautiful tags. And once I'm done, I'm just gonna let it dry. The next thing, I'm gonna be using this Mod Podge to put the numbers, and I just did one coat and I just placed them, and once I was done, I decided to do another coat on Mod Podge to seal everything. So once the letters they're completely dry, I decided to use a small piece of this sandpaper to distress it a little bit. The next thing, I'm using 3 thumbtacks to put them on the small pots so we can just place it on the side. If you guys want, you guys can just use hot glue and glue it, but I decided to use these thumbtacks. It was really easy to put them in the side. I just placed it this way so you guys can see in the back it shows a little bit the Sharpie part on the thumbtacks, and I just used a little bit of hot glue and also to reinforce it a little bit better. So once I was done, I decided to place the 3 beautiful tags, and I just used a little bit of hot glue to glue it. If you guys want a strong hold, you guys can use it 6000. And to hang our sign, we can use the same piece of jute twine, and you guys can just place it, and I think it looks beautiful. But I decided to use this plant hanger that I got from Dollar Tree, and I just cut a small piece to put it, and I just used my pliers to tie it very well, this part. And to put inside, you guys can put anything. I'm just gonna use this greenery that I had on hand, and I think it turned out really beautiful. I love it. But please let me know in the comments down below, what do you guys think about this project? For our last project, I'm going to be using the other side of this beautiful wood egg, and to paint it, we're going to be using the Restore chalk paint. I just did one coat and I just let it dry, and also I decided to paint the edges so it can has a finished look. And once it's completely dry, we're going to create lines, and for that I just create 3 lines and measure 6 inches, so every inch I just mark the lines. And to distress the piece a little bit more, I just used the Waverly Anti-Wax, and it turned out really beautiful once we distress it. I just found this beautiful bunny on Google. I just searched for a free printable and I found this beautiful bunny, so I just cut it, and I'm gonna be using this Mod Podge. So I just did one coat on the back and I just placed it on the middle, and to seal that bunny I decided to do another coat and I just let it dry completely. And I just create a simple bow using this ribbon that I got from Amazon, and I just place it on the middle, and it turned out really adorable already. And also I just grabbed a few pieces of the greenery and I just placed it, and it was the touch that I need this adorable bunny. I love it. And I just show you in the other part of the video that how I create this base to place it. In total, I just grabbed 4 pieces of the Jenga blocks. I just placed 1 in each side, 1 on the front and 1 on the back, and it turned out amazing, this base. I love it. But please let me know in the comments down below, what do you guys think about our last project? It turned out really adorable. I love it, and especially because it's 2 side projects. But please let me know in the comments down below, with all the projects that I create for today, which one it was your favorite. So that was it for today's video. Thank you for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, please don't forget to give me a big thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please subscribe and hit the bell icon to be notified every time that I upload new video. And please don't forget to follow me on Instagram and Facebook. Thank you so much and have an amazing day.